Today we show off all the fantastic secrets of the vivarium and do some advanced room of requirement min-maxing that requires us to also show off all the best spots to catch every single beast in the game, so you can make your character more overpowered than your favorite anime MC, even on the hardest difficulty. But this does contain heavy spoilers, so you have been warned. And lighting this off, we have to show all the hidden spaces and extra places you can go in each vivarium to get a bunch of extra materials, and more importantly, the 3 hidden completion chests in each one. And I guess we'll give the hippogriffs something to play with so they don't get in our way while we're here. And as you can see, I've been kind of busy with my beasts. So we'll let them run around with this. And we'll head up to our first hidden chest, which is at the top of this waterfall. And I didn't even know there was hidden chests in here until I decided to cast Revelio inside of my vivarium, which you would think would be something obvious that you should just do. But that takes us into our second hidden chest, which is just hidden inside this cave. And our third one's going to be at the top of this clearing. Now, this is one of the best views in the game, in my opinion. Like, the forest biome's nuts, and that is the third chest right there. But I absolutely love the forest biome. It being the first one really gets you into it. But when you get into the second biome, the beach, you just head to the left, and your first chest is going to be right here, overlooking another amazing view. And then when you drop off and go into this cave, your second chest is just going to be there waiting for you. And yes, this is what peak performance looks like. No problem. I also did swim out into the ocean. You can only go up to about the first or second rock, but our third chest is actually just going to be right up here. So all 3 of these ones are super fast and easy to get, just like the last one. They're not like super far out of the way. You just have to know that they're there to want to go get them. And our third biome, which is easily my favorite, and I put all my mooncalves and thestrals here, is a swamp. And our first chest is, again, just to the left as soon as you enter. And off the corner of my eye, I saw all the mooncalves gather up here, so we just made a cut to give them some extra brushes and show them some love, and I'll just give them their own little spotlight because they deserve it. So yeah, I think mooncalves are easily just my favorite animals in the game, or beasts in the game, and that leads us up to our second chest, which is just up that little ledge there, and this is just an overlook of everything up top. So after that, we run over to this cave over here, which is over to the side, which again, if you just cast Revelio, you can find no problem. And that's our third chest. So that's all 3 chests in the swamp biome with our cute little mooncalves and of course our thestrals. So I think that's the perfect little biome for them. And then finally, we have our fourth biome, the Highlands, which is the one that unlocks after you get your Phoenix quest done. And that's our first chest right there. And then you just come down this ramp for your second one. And then the third one's just up this little ledge. And the views here are absolutely beautiful again. Like, I love this zone. I think it's one of my favorites. And I put all my rare beasts in this one just because I love it. And now that we've explored the last vivarium, that takes us into our min-maxing part of the video where you get to become the ultra magic god. But to do that, we're going to need an assortment of every beast because each one gives you an individual resource that lets you enchant or enhance your gear. With the early game enchantments at level 1 being Puffskin, the mid game level 2 being Deary Crawl Feathers, and the level 3 for late game items being Kneazle Fur. And I don't really know the level range for the first 2, but I do know that the Kneazle Fur is level 25 and up items. And depending on the gear slot, it'll require 2 different sets of materials. So for level 1, you'll need Mooncalf Fur or Jawbernal Feathers. For level 2, you'll need either set of these materials for offense or defensive items. And for level 3, it's the same thing. You'll need either set of these items to keep enhancing from 0 to 3, and upgrading your gear makes it ridiculously strong to the point that I walked through the last boss on hard mode, and I did end up cheesing it with a ridiculously strong build that I put together that I'll be dropping in the next few days. But if you don't like to cheese, upgrading your gear literally lets you brute force the majority of the game on the hardest difficulty. Nothing can really deal with you after you've become that powerful, because getting any piece of gear to level 3 makes it roughly 35% better, giving you way more offense or defense you otherwise wouldn't have had. And when you upgrade your items, they will give you the stat that they don't have. So for instance, a primary statted defense piece will give you offense stats, and a primary offense piece will give you defense stats. Like you can see here, and the total increase will be about 1/3 of the primary stat on the item, meaning that upgrade solid defense focused items will give you an insane damage boost early on. So the sooner you set this farm up, the stronger you can be at every stage of the game, and it even lets you upgrade lower tier pieces with no real drawbacks if you set it up early because of the abundance of materials that you'll be producing. But that also means you'll need a bunch of beasts to support that enhancing spree, and it's a good thing we know where every single one of them are. But there's a few beast rules that if we follow make them all way easier to catch. And the first is that they respawn out of render distance in anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes. So I tested it out on the hippogriffs, and as you can saw, I had a couple of those thick boys, and I made sure to test it extensively by getting a couple more. So I personally just stayed out of render for 5 minutes and then went back, and that usually seemed to be the sweet spot for basically all of them, except for mooncalves, which actually just spawn at nighttime, and you can actually force spawn them by pressing M and then just hitting wait. Just lets you force cycle to nighttime over and over again, making them super farmable and the best money cheese in the game. I do know a lot of people like farming the puffer skins. My issue with those is that you have to move around. For this, you literally stand still and cycle night times, letting you basically AFK and watch a movie while you grind your millions. But if you really want to make all the beasts insanely easy to catch, all you have to do is abuse Accio and Levioso, and if you have the AoE talent variants, which I recommend for every single build in the game, it bugs them out, letting you grab the majority of them for free. And going invisible can actually make catching some of the more annoying ones that like to run around just insanely easy because they don't see you coming. So my recommendation for the beasts and the vivariums is to get 2 of every beast, 1 male and 1 female, and then make 1 baby so that you can get the best and cutest of all 3 worlds. But the 4 vivariums are limited to 12 beast slots and 4 species types per, meaning that you can have a little bit of everything for easy upgrades, and 3 of each beast is more than enough to give you an abundance of materials to enhance pretty much everything at every stage of the game. But then once you beat the game, if you're like me, you have some things that you really love, and what they give you off the start just isn't enough. So for instance, I had 9 mooncalves, or let's say those 2 hippogriffs they gave you at the start just aren't enough, and you want a whole flock like mine, or even some small boys, you have to know where to go. And to get hippogriffs, you need to go to the northeast of Feldcroft, or for my more cultured viewers, top right. Then while we're down here, we'll go to the northwest of Feldcroft to the Fwooper Den, and then after that we have the puffer skins. They're just north of Hogwarts on the way to Hogsmeade, and obviously are super easy to pick up early in the game. Then we have the cheese spot in the Forbidden Forest for mooncalves, and if you stand right at that spot, they run into the corner every night cycle. After that, we have the unicorn den right beside it, and it only spawns 1 unicorn at a time, so make sure you visit regularly so you can get 1 of each. Then to the north of Hogsmeade, you can pick yourself up some toads. And then to the northwest of Upper Hogsfield, you can get easy access to the Job and Roll Den, which again, I recommend you get this one early on. And then just to the northeast of this is the Thestral Den. This is where your quest line is going to take you to pick them up anyways, but this is also one of the better spots for them. Then the fastest Kneasel Den is just to the south of Brockborough. You will need some Kneasels just to enchant your gear with all the level 3 stuff. And finally, we have the Graphorn Den, which is all the way at the bottom right of the map. And this is the only beast you have to beat in battle to tame it, and I obviously would recommend not casting death spells on it because it can bug it out and make it not like you or not let you catch it, and then you will be forced to kill it. But it does let you catch it in 1 tap after you grab it, so just a couple of cabbages and we'll be there no problem. Now after you've done the Graphorn quest, you know this thing is a tyrant and something to look forward to later on because it's an absolute machine. And of course, you're going to need a baby of it. And as you saw, he's basically the special shiny version of a Graphorn, and there is a special named version of every beast in the game that you can grab either from a story or side quest. But on the side quest, you usually have to choose the option to keep it for yourself. So you can think of them as shiny Pokemon basically, and I'm not saying steal other people's pets, but you can clearly see who deserves the beasts and who doesn't just by the dialogue. So after you catch them all and steal everybody's stuff, you can stuff them all in the vivarium and pet them as much as you want, and use them to make your character ridiculously broken or about 35% better. And I was going to add in a bunch of stuff about the best way to min-max your character, but I'll save that for the strongest build for hard mode video I have coming up. I ended up beating the game at about level 32 because after a certain stage of min-maxing all my gear and always having it at level 3, I was just too strong and stopped caring and didn't see a point in grinding levels anymore. And the entire walkthrough is posted on my alternate channel if you want a more cinematic full experience of just watching me play the game. And I hope this helped you get more out of your wizarding world. Also, don't forget to stop by the stream on Twitch, and I hope you have a great night.